Indiscriminate attacks on civilian areas, mass murder of civilians, and most recently, this. A Russian airstrike and a series of blasts with bombs hitting a maternity hospital in Mariupol. A top regional police official standing in the ruins there said it is a war crime without any justification. The WHO said it has confirmed 18 attacks on health facilities and ambulances since the fighting began, killing 10 people. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted, "There are few things more depraved than targeting the vulnerable and defenseless." Ukrainian President Zelensky called the strike final proof of a genocide of Ukrainians taking place. Joining me on the morning show from Hong Kong, one of the world's leading war crimes authorities, Professor Gregory Gordon, a member of the law faculty at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening here in Hong Kong. Good morning there in Florida.
The International Criminal Court in The Hague has started a war crimes investigation against Vladimir Putin. There is clear-cut evidence of war crimes in Ukraine, but experts believe building a case against Putin may take time. Why?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that right now, no individual has been indicted per se, right? So it's just an investigation into a situation in Ukraine. And what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to build up the evidence to a point where they can identify specific, for example, chains of command that would lead to Putin, where they can actually then indict individuals. Putin would be the ultimate, but it may end up being that the proof is lower in the command chain. So we'll just have to see how the investigation develops.
I do want to get to that in a second. They call this the TikTok war because so much of it has been documented on social media in real time, and you have firsthand accounts. That will certainly help prosecutors. Is authenticating the attacks another story?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, well, you know, I saw on TikTok or I saw on Instagram or Facebook this film or these images of these war crimes taking place. But when you get into court and you have to authenticate and you have to make sure that you have the proper metadata or whatever it is that's going to be part of that social media evidence to prove that it's been sufficiently verified, for example, then it's a whole other story. Remember, the prosecution has to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The other thing that I would point out is that often the social media evidence is only going to be good insofar as it corroborates harder evidence. So testimony or documents or even satellite intercepts that come from other sources. So all of that will kind of work together, I think, and there will be a case built on the combination of those layers of evidence.
So let me go back to what you started with. One of the big challenges is proving the chain of command.
Absolutely. I think it could be the biggest challenge in a case like this. So you've got two elements to prosecuting war crimes. The first is the crime itself, if you will. So if it's a war crime under Section Article 8 of the Rome Statute, you've got your list of war crimes. Let's say it's killing civilians. We'll take that, okay? You've got that crime, you've got evidence of that crime. Then the question is, who is connected to that crime? And remember that the International Criminal Court, which is what we've been talking about, wants to prosecute those who are most responsible. So you've got a couple of options. You can look at Article 25 of the statute, and then you have everything from a direct principle to aiding and abetting to contribution liability, right? And all those have different standards. And then you've got what we call command responsibility under Article 28, where you have to show superior subordinate relationship and a series of other elements. That's probably where a lot of the action is going to be in terms of a successful prosecution.
Then, of course, there will be the issue of taking Putin into custody before he could be tried.
Right. And I mean, short of regime change, I think that's going to be really difficult. You know, right now he's pretty, I think, well protected by the layers of his political machine, his military. But you might have people on the ground, for example, commanders or even lower level soldiers who are captured in Ukraine. And you might be able to start there and then eventually build your way up. Often these cases work with lower level prosecutions, and then you get evidence and you work your way up toward the top of the chain of command.
Is there a way to charge Putin down the road with crimes of aggression in a hybrid court set up specifically to prosecute crimes tied to the invasion, like the Nuremberg trial for the Nazis?
Yeah, at this point, you really can't do it at the International Criminal Court because under Article 15 bis, there are limitations because Russia is not has not signed on to what are known as the Kampala Amendments on aggression. Ukraine has given ad hoc jurisdiction, but that's not going to cover aggression. So yes, the only way you can probably do it is to set up a kind of an ad hoc tribunal, somewhat like the Nuremberg Tribunal. There are really interesting questions there about jurisdiction. You know, what would be the jurisdiction? In Nuremberg, the Allies occupied Germany. They, in essence, were the government. And so the jurisdiction was, in that sense, somewhat clear. Here, would it be a combination of universal jurisdiction? Would it be passive personality? Would it be territorial? It depends on where the tribunal is held and the way that the tribunal is constructed.
We see the indiscriminate bombing of children's hospitals, maternity wards, schools, bakeries, bread shops, and ask why. 19th century Russian poet Fyodor Churchkev said, "You can't understand Russia with your mind." We certainly don't understand Putin's mind. What I don't understand after listening to you is, will international law not matter? Does the rule of international law have to be revisited given what we're seeing and the fact that it may not have any bearing?
We might be seeing the end of the order that was constructed after the Second World War. So the way that the UN was set up, the Security Council, the General Assembly, the permanent members, all that, in my opinion, is now being called into question. That said, let's not be too dramatic yet. We haven't quite stepped over the brink. I'm hoping that we can still fix the problems that we're seeing. Obviously, we need to end the aggression in Ukraine right now. And we also have to remember that the rule of law is important, not just for prosecuting people, but also reminding them of what our standards are, what we as civilization strives for. And we may have dark moments like now, but I think in the future, we will see the light, we will see justice, and I remain an optimist on this.
Professor Gordon, thank you for your time and your perspective. Have a great day.